I do, yeah.
Are you okay? Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
2 miles per hour over. What were we doing?
Well, I think he said he's willing to go 70 and a 65 . So you're saying he went 72?
No, I said I'm willing to go 8 over. 8 over is my policy.
8 over. Why?
8 over is my policy.
What happens to 9 over?
Yeah, 8 over the speed limit, yeah.
What about 7.5?
Because 8 is like a cop is not going to pull you over for 8 over the speed limit. I don't think. But once you get into 10, it's a dangerous game.
Yeah.
So you don't even want to touch 9 just in case your foot gets a little heavy.
Yeah,
at 9.
right, exactly. Then you're one toe push away from being over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Witty, how much crazy sweeps over your brain in waves when you are late / possibly perceived as irresponsible?
Honestly, that was the fear. Is that I was gonna walk into this like, God, this guy, we can't trust him. He's like, he has no responsibility. And it was for the dumbest reason. I walked out of my door without my keys and locked the door behind me.
Oh, wow.
And so I got to walk downstairs,
Yeah.
and these people are fumbling with the key, the extra key that you have down at the front desk, and they were taking a very long time. I know the key that
You
they
yelled
need to
at
use
them,
in order to
didn't
get.
you?
No,
You did.
No,
You
know
raised
why?
your voice.
No, you know why?
What?
Because you can't be a dick when you're the moron, right? When I'm the moron,
You can. I mean,
Yeah, you can.
Put it on the poll at LeBatard Show.
Thanks, Roy.
Can you be the dick when you're the moron?
you can't start lighting up security people for fumbling around at 7:15 in the morning.
That's not how rage works, though. That's very nice and
No.
logical that you would be responsible from within the rage. But the way that rage works is that sometimes you're not self-aware, and you just all of a sudden are lighting the eyebrows of a security guy who's just made because you're the idiot and
Lashing out.
You don't know where to put the anger. It can be self-hatred. So look, this guy who's getting paid $12.50 an hour, he's gonna get it.
If there's one thing that the call map has taught me, it's to just take a deep breath in that moment and not take it out on people. It was actually a genuine moment of serenity. It's like, you know what? I'm not going to light this guy up because it's my fault. And I was very angry, and I still was like, you know what? It's just this kind of day. It's just this kind of day.
Just so people understand, you locked your keys in your house and put it on the poll here at LeBatard Show, Billy. Is there anything worse? Is there anything worse in your daily errands than locking your keys in your house?
I would say probably in the car, right?
Locking yourself out of the house?
Yeah, locking yourself out of your car is a tricky one, because at least Chris could go back inside and ask, whoever he asked, and have them fumble around with the keys and get his keys. When you're locked out of your car, it's like you got to get a hanger. You have to call someone.
You got to call somebody.
Yeah.
None of us are doing the hanger very well, I don't think. I don't think anyone in our group here would be able to break into an automobile.
Tony alleges he's done the hanger.
I have done the hanger once.
Oh,
yeah. I had no. Listen, so I had an old Mercedes-Benz back in the day when I left high school. It was like 20 years old, and sometimes I would leave the key fumbling around with stuff in the trunk. I'd leave the key, and I left the key in the trunk one time. So what I had to do is I had to move the window down a little bit because it would come down if you did it, and then I had to put a wire hanger that I made into a little noose at the bottom, and then the way that so you remember 50 Cent in Get Rich or Die Trying? He had that white bubble Benz with the big eyes, the
You're
E320.
just like 50 Cent.
No, the point is the car, so you can picture it. I don't like you today. Yeah, just putting it out there. I don't like you today. So
how's today any different than any other day? Let's get this out. Let's get this out.
It's April 27th, and this guy's wearing It's Miller Time Christmas sweater.
It's freezing in here today.
There's a heater next to you.
No, not next to me, next to Witty. It's freezing in here today, and I left my hoodie, and I couldn't go back and get it because I didn't want to get Pau for being late, so I just kept driving. And it's cold.
All right, so
you beat Whittingham here. That's all that matters. Yes.
I beat everybody here today. It was like a first ever. I was walking around. There was music playing. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I don't know what Bob does here by himself.
I love Wednesdays because Whitty's here, and if we're late, what Whitty's not going to yell at me. We're friends.
I certainly have no leg to stand on today.
No.
Tony,
I just don't care.
What is going on with you and Billy?
Dan, it's like brothers, right? Sometimes we love each other.
Wow.
Sometimes we hate each other, but all the time we're brothers. And that's the relationship that this corner has with Billy. Billy has with us.
Okay, and so Wednesdays are a little more rambunctious.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this Heat thing because I don't want to just gloss over, hey, it's first round, hey, it's just Trae Young, and not appreciate some of the stuff here that happens with a franchise that continues to reinvent itself and be relevant. And I won't normalize the excellence by simply, we've had too much Dolphins, too much Marlins, too much shitty Panthers around here to just skip past the first round win because it was expected. Because it's hard to win in that league.
Yeah.
And it's hard to stay relevant. And they've been basically the entire time Pat Riley's here. So we'll get to that in a second. But first, I want to understand, I believe the source of your hostility, these Wednesdays have been a little extra Latin. They've been a little wilder, a little spicier, a little more dangerous, a little freer.
Fun.
And Bacardi, I've been Bacardi for a long time, right? We're independent now. And Bacardi for a long time has been a monster company in this market. And all of our people in radio have always gone swirling around Bacardi, and nothing's ever happened with Bacardi. Bacardi needs to be supporting what we're doing around here as a Miami icon that supports Miami icons. What's going on with you guys?
It seems they disagree, and they don't think they need to.
They don't disagree. They're feeling it out. They're feeling it out.
As of now, they've disagreed because they haven't come on. And you know what? I think we need to give them an ultimatum.
The second one.
The second ultimatum.
Wow.
Which is like,
that's a great movie, by the way.
It is.
Second ultimatum.
Second ultimatum.
Bad Netflix show, though.
Penultimate?
Bad Netflix show, yeah.
Ooh, penultimatum.
Wow. But that means there's one more to go, right?
I like Netflix's movie, The Penultimatum. It's like, I'm warning you the next time.
Yeah.
And it allows it to be a two-part
This is strike
series.
2, okay? And you know what happens when we get to strike 3.
Foul tip, yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, we want you on board to sponsor 151 Wednesdays, even though you no longer make 151, and then it may become Spicy Wednesdays. But if you're not, there are plenty of 151s around here. You know what I mean? Yeah. Don Q. Yeah. I'll go around. I'll find a 151 if I have to. Bacardi. Okay?
We are free agents now. We're not beholden to anybody. Like Disney doesn't want to be getting Bacardi sponsorships or whatever. So we need to link up with somebody here in Miami that is a liquor sponsor and represents Miami. And I don't know what's going on here. My dad was coming in to talk to Bacardi today, but my dad's going to tell Bacardi to go bleep themselves is what's going to happen.
Well, we need someone to do it because what Billy just did was the least threatening thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, he's not threatening.
It
My
was a
dad will do it.
penultimatum.
We'll bring my dad. That was the penultimatum.
You have to save some of it till the ultimate. This is the penultimatum right now, okay? Ooh, guys, what about this? Ready? I don't know if this is even still a product. What if we just do 4 Locos Wednesday?
Let's go!
Dan, you remember 4 Locos?
Well, who are the 4 Locos, though? I see 3 of them. I see 3, Billy, Lewis, and Tony. Who's the 4th Loco? Don't you need to
Jessica could be the 4th Loco, yeah.
Wow. I don't know about 4 Loco. That's not really our vibe. I think 151 Wednesdays is the vibe.
That's our vibe, yeah.
4 Loco, that's scary sauce.
I'm very loco, Dan.
Look, you're just angling for a paycheck. Everyone sees your
absolutely
angle.
am. I need to get
Everyone's
free liquor.
I'm very loco, Dan, was never said with such indifference. That was you just saying, are there some dollars over here for me, Dan?
I'm loco.
I'd like to be 4 Locos. I'm sorry, Stugotz.
Muy
loco, says Stugotz. He wants to be one of the Locos. Last night, Stugotz.
Did Tony ever finish the story with the hanger?
Oh no! So long story short, the way that the lock goes up, it's like skinny and then fat on the top. So all you got to do is get it over, and then tighten it, which is the noose. So you just tighten it on the top, you pop it, in and out. Happened once.
I'm glad we went back to the story, Stugotz. Thank
Sorry
you
about
for
that. I thought it'd be better.
You had to close it out there.
I have a question about speeding since Woody was speeding today. Does anyone on Earth go 45 next to the cruise ships? It's impossible, right? 45? Yeah, that's the speed limit. It's 45. They used to have a fake police car just parked there, making sure that like no one would speed.
You go slower or faster?
Oh, I mean, Dan, you're coming off of 395. You're flying. You're off a highway. Yeah, estamos volando, bro. We're like.
That's a highway as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going under 60, you're like risking getting hit from behind.
Yeah. How often are like speed limits re-examined? Because like the Palmetto Expressway, for instance, is like 7 lanes wide, and they expect you to go 55 miles an hour. I think you would.
I've never gone over 35 on the
hazard.
Palmetto.
Well, that's a good point.
The road itself is
but
a hazard.
But it's a hazard. It's a hazard to drive that slow. Yeah. Like, how often do these get re-examined so that, like, to fit in with modern times and the making of modern cars?
You do realize that Florida, like, leads the country in pedestrian deaths, and Dante Stallworth on that strip of land you're talking about, that you're like, why does anyone go 45 here? The reason I asked you whether you go over or under is because I try to go 45, not because I even knew it was the speed limit, just because it's not that area of the beach is beautiful. It's just the cruise ships. It's a very nice, and we don't have a lot like that. That's an inlet and is that beautiful. And so I don't want to rush through it, but that's where Dante Stallworth killed a man who was walking across the street the way that Dwayne Haskins appeared to be.
You also want to go slow. This is a weird segue now because you just brought it to a dark place, Dan. But you're right. It's scenic. You want to go slow. You want to see all the art on the cruise ships, like Lebo's cruise ship. You take your time. You
see it every day.
It.
I mean, memorized it.
Just stare at the ship.
Repaint the boat. Yeah, I'm tired.
You're tired of the Lebo?
I'm
You're
tired of the same boats. Bring me some new boats.
Yeah.
Repaint them. Do something. You know what I mean? I get excited when I see the Guy Harvey boat. That one's there very rarely. You'll see the Guy Harvey every once in a while. Lebo's boat hasn't been there in a while. Where is it?
Well, it had been floating for a while. You know, they've been having docking issues during the pandemic. I don't know where it is at the moment.
I'm going to look it up. What's it called?
No.
Norwegian.
Lebo of the Seas. I'm going to
Lebo of the Seas.
Trae Young, Stugotz, goes last night from 28.4 points a game to 15.4 points a game in the postseason. Totally erased. Jeremy Lin-ish in that the end of that series is Trae Young in the corner. You don't fear him at all. He shoots the ball, hits the side of the backboard. Like you wrecked that dude.
I went ooh when he shot that. And like it was an ugly shot, and it was surprising to see that from Trae Young, who had such a great postseason just a year ago.
And what I want to examine, Stugotz, in the cruelty of today, right? As these conversations can get super lazy, like super lazy. Tatum's top 10 now. And these are just random numbers. We move them around. Trae Young might have been approaching top 10 last year if he'd made some sort of quote-unquote leap this year in the postseason by winning some of these games.
Right.
Maybe he was going for lovable villain. He closed down Cleveland. He closed down the Knicks. Like he was going for a story there, and to be extinguished this way changes his story now headed into next season, where people are like, "Oh, look, overrated," and it happens that fast.
Yes. Yep.
And it's because the Heat did that to him. Okay, he did not forget how to play basketball. You could say, where were his second guys? Well, this is where Stugotz will be coming for the Lillard soon enough, because you better have multiple guys now, or you will get stripped down naked the way that he did, and it'll buy you nothing. He was very good very recently. He got dragged in a way that makes everyone look at him and say, oh, you can't win if that's your best, because it can be stopped.
Yes, that could be stopped. I actually found myself, Dan, because he took that team, and a very similar team. Now, Capella was healthy last year, and he played last night and then was injured. But he took a similar team to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I actually found myself saying last night, wow, Trae Young doesn't have enough. He needs more. The Hawks need to do better. They need to find other pieces. Because Trae Young took them there by himself last
night. No, I'm not going to do this.
I'm not having this.
No, Stugotz, this is how it happens.
Why?
Okay, because this is how it happens every time. He was great 12 months ago, and now he needs more pieces. And then you yell at Kevin Durant because he team hops. And there have been new roster constructions out here.
Right.
And yes, of course, he needs more help. But he was, in this series, Stugotz, a kind of unprecedented terrible for somebody that we had already anointed a star. He was, the numbers here are crazy, Stugotz. Okay, this is the first time that a player has had fewer than 25 baskets and more than 30 turnovers since the shot clock in 1980. The Hawks had the number one rated half-court offense in the league. In this series, they would have been 25th. They would have been like between Portland and the Knicks. Number one in the league half-court. Mm-hmm. He's not stoppable in the half-court, allegedly.
Right.
Someone other than Trae beat us is the game plan, right? And what you saw from Atlanta last night is 2 streaks of 5 minutes, no baskets, 7 minutes, no baskets. These are 3 of the 4 lowest totals in Trae Young's career in this series, point totals, because he had 22 field goals and 30 turnovers.
Right.
They took him away.
They did.
You're not allowed to. Even Kevin Durant, when we started saying just a couple of days ago, hey, what happened? Where's Kevin? They took him away. He comes out, bombs away 31 shots. Trae couldn't get the 31 shots, Stugotz. He couldn't do anything because of his size about you're not going to be good anymore. Someone else is going to have to beat us.
And also, you got the other performances from other Hawks. Last night, it was DeAndre Hunter, who before getting ridiculously fouled out, in my opinion, was tremendous.
It was great.
Bogdan Bogdanovic in Game 2, we can make fun of him because we don't think enough of him because his name is Bogdan Bogdanovic, but he had a couple of massive games in this series. If Trae Young is Trae Young, there is a game that was decided by 3 points last night. Game 2 was decided by 10. If he doesn't turn the ball over a million times in these games, if he hits 40% of his shots, they're in the series. It's a competitive series. And the Heat last night fielded a team without Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler. If that team did not touch the Miami Heat organization, and I am not culture guy. Like, I think sometimes they get high on their own supply. But the Heat, if not for bringing these teams through their organization, if that team never touched the Heat organization and they were wearing Sacramento Kings uniforms, they'd struggle to win 30 games in an NBA regular season. That team that played last night is not a team of any kind of talent pedigree. All they are is amazing at defense and well-developed by a Heat organization that knows what they're doing. They clinched a series against a superstar player that got to the conference finals last year because they swarmed him defensively, got in his head, and by the end was checkmated. He hit a 3 off the side of the backboard. He picked up his dribble 35 feet from the basket and didn't know what to do because Max Strus was standing in front of him. Like, that dude was mentally gone.
And Stugotz, I will tell you, as a couple, you watch the end of dumb Minnesota-Memphis, right? Dumb Minnesota-Memphis, last 5 seconds. What are the shots those teams got? Last 5 seconds. This is the Heat's weakness, is last 5 seconds, but not on defense. Trae Young, what are you going to do? You won one game at the buzzer. What are you going to do here now that you're mentally fried? Oh, my God, it's Danilo Gallinari in the corner, and he's double-teamed. They had 5 seconds to draw up a play. They're not even going to get a shot because he's smothered in the corner because Trae Young's not going to get a shot. He's done. We cannot count on him. He's finished. He's finished for the season.
Anyone but Trae Young, yes.
For the series. But continue, Stugotz, because I interrupted you, because you went to the place of he needs more help, okay, which is what we will do when any guy, I mean, Stugotz?
No, it's on the organization, Dan. That's what I was saying. I thought that Kevin Durant had enough help when he was in Oklahoma City. It's why I gave him such a hard time for leaving. I'm not certain Trae Young has enough help in Atlanta. We'll see over the next couple of years if Atlanta does anything to improve that roster. If they don't, then Trae Young is going to do what Kevin Durant did. He's going to go find it somewhere else.
Stugotz, okay, but before you get there, can we just for a second stay in when you are a star in the sport, that doesn't happen to you. Period. Not comma.
Right.
That simply doesn't happen.
Kyrie Irving was 15 a game over the last 3, Dan.
Stugotz, he's
15 a game.
He's not Jeremy Lin, Stugotz. He couldn't run the offense.
I know.
He was turning the ball over. Those numbers I gave you are historically bad. And what has just happened, Stugotz, it happened overnight. It really did. The people listening to me right now who are tired of Heat Homer talk, so very tired of Heat Homer talk, you know what they're saying? What's the big deal? It was Trae Young. That happened because the Heat did it to him. Your assessment of that, oh, big deal. Heat culture, big deal. You did it to Trae Young. Yes, you stripped naked a guy who you told me was a star who isn't because he can be stopped. And stars can't be stopped. Not embarrassed, not historically bad, not you got to go back to the shot clock age to find the guy who was stopped the way this guy was stopped. A mathematical inefficiency, more turnovers than baskets. Stugotz, he was 4th in the league in scoring.
Why are you yelling at me?
The Norwegian getaway, a.k.a. the Libo of the Seas, right now is in Denmark.
Wow, Denmark.
So, yeah, you could check out the Baltic for 9 days in May. In Germany, Sweden, and Finland. Also, if you want to cruise the Baltic on the Libo of the Seas, Germany, Russia, Sweden, and Finland. So maybe we relive your parents' anniversary in Russia, and then it comes back across the pond.
We're not going to Russia right now, Bill.
No.
We're not?
They're not stopping in Russia. When is this cruise?
No, it's there. It says May to August 2023. And then we hop back across the pond. Oh, wait, you know what? No, that's
Probably not.
That's next year. That's next year. So I guess they assume things will be wrapped up by then. So then we hop back across the pond, and Dan, 7 days in the Caribbean. Great Stirrup Cay and the Dominican Republic.
Mar Miami?
I heard that was taking off yesterday.
Got
Dan.
legs, got
Mar
sea legs,
Miami.
Dano.
Yeah, we got some sea legs in motion now on Mar Miami. You remember Mar Miami? Please tell me you remember Mar
I don't
Miami.
believe that we ever have sea legs in motion on anything.
Oh, we do.
Because no, this is what happens with our sea legs in motion. Eventually, we talk about being in motion and having our sea legs, and then we just all drown, and it never happens. and I almost had my sea legs, and where's Bacardi? Bacardi's not coming in today.
But this is the attitude that we need to change if we want to make Mar Miami happen. Do you remember Mar Miami? It's basically Moss Miami, but on a cruise ship, and it's gonna be a Le Batard and Friends cruise that you can come on, Mar Miami instead of Moss Miami or K-Moss Miami, which is coming soon as well.
Wow.
Mar Miami is in motion from
Is
what I've been
K-Moss,
told.
hold on. You're telling me that Kmart Miami and Kmart, this is happening? I can't believe you. Are you just trying to make a mess of things? And
Well-
you're going to take us to a Kmart warehouse?
Well, not a Kmart warehouse, an abandoned Kmart potentially. The issue and the hiccups that we've run into so far is some of the things that we were pitching were Ferris wheels inside, and then Hildy wanted to be a party pooper and say that couldn't happen. And then Tony said, well, this Kmart has a retractable roof. And she said, really? And he said, no, but we can make one. And then that's where K-Moss Miami is right now.
Jessica, why are you shaking your head? Because of all of Billy's grandiose plans that collapse in a heat?
Only
because-
one needs to work, Dan.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Same
waiting
thing with
for
the
it.
airplane.
I'm-
Only one of those
I'm-
flying
I'm-
contraptions needed to work. Remember, there was the one that was just jumping on the ground like
Washing
that.
machine.
What?
It was a washing machine.
What was?
The flying contraption. It was basically a washing machine.
So they invented a washing machine by mistake, trying to make it fly? How
No.
is that going to work?
They were trying to make the washing machine fly.
Why?
What is the backstory here?
Is this true?
I trust Roy.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Roy, what's the story here? Because Billy was going on one of his meandering rants where he dreamed about opening Kmart's and recreating Kmart as a thriving industry.
Not as a Kmart, though, as an entertainment venue.
Okay,
let's just
all right.
say.
But can
Yeah.
you please be quiet as the man with the facts, who does not speak often,
It's not a fact.
corrects the parts of your story that stink, where you didn't explain to people what this meant.
Because I can't describe. Remember, it was like a contraption that would just jump up and down, and
Well,
somehow they
Roy,
thought that was going to make it fly.
Allow Roy to explain what the story is.
I was trying to supplement nonsense with his nonsense, basically. I was
you
trying to
made it
find.
up?
Yes, I made it up.
I knew it.
Really?
I knew
trusted
it.
you.
I've never been on an airplane with a washing machine before. Have you? I knew that was made up. I could tell.
It was like 1932, man. They were trying to make it contraptions to make people fly, basically.
Show kind of just died right there, didn't it?
Yeah.
I
thanks.
trust Roy. Yeah.
You can always reach the show at LeBatard Show with all of your many criticisms. You're louder than you've ever been. We're more divided than we've ever been. The internet is crueler than it's ever been. So at LeBatard Show, let us have it. We have been a receptacle for your hatred for many years around here, and you should just complain about everything that we're doing wrong. So someone writes in, I love Mike, I really do. But what is his deal these days? Why does he have to have such a take on everything?
He's that guy.
Many of you wanted to hear from him today. Many of you did not want to hear from him today. And so when Stugotz asks me, why are you yelling at me? It's because an old, bloated sports warhorse has come over to where the Heat reside. And because Pat Riley has spoiled us and they've given us so many first-round victories over the years, I don't want to just skip along past the Heat homerism when we have legitimately a generation of sports fans brought up in this town loving sports because of what this organization and none other has been in this town. None other. It's there is nothing close to what the Miami Heat have won, where yawn, it's the first round, what's the big deal? It's an 8 seed.
That's loser mentality. If you think this team's going to win a championship, this is nothing. This is a pop around. We don't celebrate Baba round wins. You need to go on and do it in the big rounds.
Yeah.
ECF and beyond. First round, second round, that's nothing. Business as usual. Especially if you're a 1 seed beating an 8 seed. Yeah, Tony's right. This is compota this round.
I think the playoffs start right now. It's second round traditionally. Now, if you have the Sixers, it's going to feel big. It is. Embiid, Harden, it's going to feel like a big time series.
If you respect the Sixers, you respect the Sixers?
I do enough where it will feel like a big time playoff series.
How do you feel about the Raptors?
It's like you have Memphis and Golden State potentially in the second round. That's going to feel massive, you know?
The conversation that I'm telling you we're about to have is if the Heat advance past the second round, just so that you know, it's not going to be about the Heat defense doing anything. It's going to be the same thing you just saw in the first round. This is just going to keep getting louder. Oh, they did it to Trae Young. It's Trae Young. They did it to Embiid and Harden. They're just going to go straight to ripping Harden and Embiid. Like the national conversation is not going to be about, oh, wow, what marvelous Heat defense on James Harden. It's just going to be like, oh, there, look, it's over. It's over for Harden. All the knuckleheads being traded for each other. We spent the whole season talking Nets and Sixers, and look, nothing. First and second round, player empowerment. Like, there will be nothing but criticism.
Well, you're right. It was mostly, I mean, just use the first round, the Celtics and the Nets as an example. It was nothing really about the Celtics, Jason Tatum, team, all that. It was mostly about Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So, I mean, you're right. Your point is right. But, I mean, what do you care? I mean, why do we care? Like, why do we need people to say, hey, the Heat are a great – we know they're a great team. We've been around the team all year. Why do you need national validation? Winning the title gives you the validation that you need. Why do you need it from Joe in Missouri?
It's just the conversation. Like, the Heat are entered the playoffs third favorites to win the East. In some places, fourth favorites to win the East, behind Milwaukee, Boston, and the Brooklyn Nets, who didn't win a playoff game. Like, It's just a correcting of the discourse from our vantage point. The discourse is all about Brooklyn. And you're right, Stugotz. Like, we kind of stink at positivity as a sports media culture, right? Like, even, for example, Golden State and Denver. Golden State have been amazing. And yet, it's a lot of conversation about, oh, this is your MVP? This is all Jokic can do? Like, every series is framed through the prism of who lost. Even Memphis last night, who get an amazing shot at the rim, it's all about, oh, Minnesota blows another lead, Karl Anthony Towns this, Anthony Edwards defense that, and not Memphis and John Morant.
It makes it so much less fun. It really does. And it's one of the reasons that I'm grateful for the TNT team that somehow, in all of this stupidity, manages to create a new hierarchy of power, the bus driver. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. And you've got Shaq and Barkley disrespecting Kenny again and again, telling him to get the hell out of the conversation.
Well, he never drove the bus, Dan.
I know, but a new category of ridiculous has made an appearance amid the cruelty as we're sitting around wondering, oh, Kevin Durant comes at Charles Barkley and it gets, sent into the atmosphere that they have all day to prepare. All the producers have all the day to prepare for how they're going to come back at Kevin Durant. This is the culture now. That's the fun show. That's the less cruel show than the internet. And Kevin Durant says they're going to come at me. An army of producers are coming at the God. Just another Tuesday for me. This is where we are existing, Stugotz, between reality and social media. The cruelty that runs through all of this makes sports less fun because of the amount of blame around.
Sure.
Jokic was great, Stugotz. His key players are out.
I know.
His
key player, Jamal Murray, is out.
And Porter too, right? Like,
Porter. That's a good point.
I mean, they were both his 2 and 3 guys were out.
But I like the bus driver thing. I do, because Dan, unless you've driven the bus, you don't know what those guys are talking about. You're doing it right now with Trae Young. You're not blaming Gallinari. You're not blaming Herter. You're not getting on DeAndre Hunter. You're not getting on any of the other Hawks other than Trae Young.
Stugotz,
no one's blasting Nate McMillan today.
Stugotz, I'm not blasting. I'm not blasting Trae Young, Stugotz. You're hearing it through your ears, which are always, where are the spots that I can criticize? Your entire prism is who can I criticize? Where can I criticize? I win every year because there are going to be 10 guys to criticize and only one winner.
Right.
And so your entire prism is that. So you're saying I'm ripping. I'm not ripping Trae Young. I'm like, holy shit, don't lose sight of it. It's kind of amazing to be able to do that to somebody.
That's fair.
And you will flip-flop from month to month. Like you'll say Trae Young was great when he beat my Knicks. And now he's no longer great. And it's not because he regressed. That's not about giving credit, Stugotz.
I still think Trae Young is great. That's the larger point I was trying to make. I still think he's a great player. The Heat are a great defensive team.
So, when you ask me, though, why do you care? It's not because of the validation, Stugotz. It's because some of the most fun in sports is now the hate. The hate for Philadelphia and the hate for Boston will come, and it will be fun to yell and scream. And at the end of it, I will walk away and not actually care. My identity won't be ruined. I won't be crawling in the street weeping into one of my jerseys.
That's Mike.
That's right. That will be Mike.
But the Heat don't actually, and Heat fans don't actually want everyone praising them, right? Like, you have to embrace the hate and say everybody hates us.
Correct.
No, if everybody loves us, then it's like, who
Right.
cares?
No, it's not hate though. It's not an active hate. It's ignorance.
It's respect. You want to be respected.
It's sports, guys.
it's
like,
ignorance.
welcome to sports. Is this your first year watching the NBA? I don't understand the confusion here.
No, but Billy, like, it's almost like not caring. It's out of like apathy that people aren't giving the Miami Heat their credit, because all season long they've been the 1 seed and no one's talked about them as this formidable favorite in the Eastern Conference. Like, they talk about Phoenix in the West and they talk about Boston and Brooklyn and all these other teams, and the Heat have kind of been ignored. And at a certain point, like, as a fan base, you're gonna be like, hang on a second, like, when do we talk about how great my team is?
No, but Billy is right. Stay under the radar. Use that as fuel. Like, let people not talk about you. That's fine. It's okay.
I'm not on
They're the
team.
4th favorite
They'll
in the
talk
East.
about you.
Bet on them.
They'll
bet
talk
on them
about
if you believe in them so much. You'll get great odds.
Witty,
I wish I could.
Witty, they'll talk about you when you're in the finals. There's only 2 teams. They have to talk about you.
No, but then
Force
it's
them to
like,
talk about
then it's
you.
like, oh, is this finals interesting? The Heat are in it. Like, you want to be in the conversation. You want to be part of the daily zeit. Like, you guys don't feel this as sports fans? Like, you want to be part of the conversation. Is it just about enjoying your team, or is it now, like, about connecting to something bigger? I know, on a personal basis, I don't get there emotionally with the Heat, because it just will never feel the same way as it did in 2011. Like, I just can't. Like, it doesn't tap into the visceral way that I responded to that team, and how being part of that relevance
But Whittingham,
was a part of the
I
fandom.
miss it. It's where Mike's Heat homerdom comes from, and Billy has kept himself safe all these years because he's got sports in the proper perspective, and also he's wildly indifferent about the Miami Heat.
I just feel sad for you guys. You guys sound like you could never love again. Like, you could just never find happiness. Like, you had love.
It'll never
with
be
the
that
big
again.
3, and you could just never get there again. So you're just living these sad lives where you're afraid to put yourself out there because you don't want to get hurt.
You guys peaked as sports fans.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what it
You know
sounds
what?
like.
As a
You are,
city.
you
Yeah.
are 100% right.
Yeah.
Because I watched that last night. I was like, oh, that's cool. But like, everything from down to like having to watch it on a regional sports network as opposed to the national broadcast, like Lowry and Butler and Bogdanovich, last night felt like a regular season game. It just wasn't
Business as usual.
Yeah, it was.
That's
business.
right.
Listen,
No,
the
but that's
Hawks
not
are bad.
fun.
The Hawks are boring. You want to know what will get fun again? Be down 3-2 and have Jason Tatum stroll into the arena. You'll have that feeling again.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. I think that Boston series, or if they play Milwaukee as well, I think that'll be an amazing series.
But you are if Toronto somehow allows the critique to start on Philadelphia early, and now Miami beats Toronto, they will get no credit for anything if they arrive in the Eastern Conference Finals. Nothing.
Easy path.
How much
Right.
credit do you
beating
want to
Toronto-
get for
beating-
winning the second round, though? Like, that's not the goal.
No, but you'll get that credit if you beat Joel Embiid and James Harden.
But Billy,
it sounds weird, I know, because you can argue that Toronto's a better
But
team when healthy.
You can't have it both ways. You can't have this, we're championship culture, this is the pedigree, this is blah, 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 and then it's like, pat us on the back for winning the first round also, please. And it's like, are we about championships, or are we about just constantly being validated?
But Billy, but to Dan's point, we take that level of success for granted. Yeah. 4 teams do no.
Well, that's
but
what
no,
they want you
no,
to do.
I don't.
That's this
no,
culture, this
but
championship culture. Then you don't get
That's fair.
a slap on the back for winning the first round.
But I also, like, I'm not culture guy. Like, I'm not here to, like, tout the culture. I think it's incredible when an organization gets to the conference finals. It's really hard. A lot of teams spend a ton of money and resources to try and get to the conference finals. And to just say, we got to the conference finals, like that dismisses how much work goes into it.
Oh, but
how hard it is.
But when Jessica says you peaked as a sports fan and your response is 100%, yes, that became the standard right there. You realize that there's a generation of kids in Miami that don't even associate it with Wade and Shaq. Right. Not Wade and Shaq. There are kids in this city who became sports fans because that team taught them, and it started, your life as a sports fan started right there. My dad didn't care about sports until that minute. My dad did not actually care about anything that was happening in sports, but all of a sudden he's wandering over and he's like, wait a minute, everybody hates Miami? I'll hate them back. That sounds like fun and super Cuban. And so he did it on television, but that was legitimately the game, Stugotz. Miami came up, and that was the start of a lot of sports fandom in this city. And when that's the standard, erasing Trae Young doesn't meet it. On regional television doesn't meet it. And I'm just stopping you for a second before we get back to the cruelty and making fun of the Sixers and Ben Simmons and everything else. I'm just stopping you for a second to say no matter how tired you are of Heat culture in this local hour, you guys know, even Billy knows, because I don't know how you experienced this when we were doing, plays. We were running, a walkthrough in the 790 offices with Laz from IT explaining how position.
What a day that was!
How we had to space the court differently.
He was right
in order to fight off the hatred of America that had gotten to a very, very high place. Where were you when this was happening, Billy?
Interning. Yeah, I was there. This just honestly feels like we're preemptively excuse making. When the Heat get eliminated, this is like, well, we were very appreciative of them at the time. And it's like, no, if this Heat team is this great monster of a team, this one seed that everybody says, this legitimate contender, then this is what's expected. Win the first round, win the second round, make it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
And can I push back on you by saying, and this is not going to be popular, I don't believe they're going to win the championship. I don't believe if they get to Golden State or Boston and lose in 7 games.
Hater.
Yeah.
Hater right there.
What are you doing,
Hater.
man?
I knew it. I could sniff it out.
Right.
I smelled it like rain. I knew we were just starting to make excuses for old Pat Riley to say, you know what, he did a great job making this team, but they're a bunch of frauds. And you know what? You're the fraud. This team's for realsies, and they're going to the championship. I'm saying it right now.
Yes.
Mark my words. This team's for realsies.
For realsies. You gave him an opportunity, man. You did. Like, you gave Billy the opportunity, and he stepped up, and now he's taking the mantle. He is rooting for the Heat. He is guaranteeing
I'm about
the
this
Heat are
culture.
going to the NBA
That's
Finals.
right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You don't believe, Dan.
You don't think they're for realsies, do you?
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that you're for realsies.
Oh, I'm for realsies. I'm here. I'm here, baby.
I don't believe that pivot that you just made.
I've been here. I did this with the Panthers, too. My Cats, whew, get ready.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Dan, say it now because I'm going to say it. The Cats are going to the Cup.
Boom.
Yep. Boom.
You are fueled.
You know who they have a date with?
I gave him a chance.
Lord Stanley.
Yep.
You are fueled by indifference all over the place, unless it's your Marlins.
Nope.
And as you say, the Heat are all about championships, and you were celebrating a 30-31 playoff appearance.
Playoffs are the playoffs.
That's not.
I know, but
those
they just
numbers
won a
aren't true
playoff
either.
round.
That's
Guys,
fake. Yeah.
The Heat just won. I know the
Well,
playoffs
you're
are
throwing
the
a parade
playoff.
for the Heat winning the first round, and then you shit on the Marlins for doing the same thing. What's the difference?
Because the Marlins don't have a chance, and the Heat do.
You just said they don't.
I don't think they're going to win. They're not the favorites. I'm not saying anything shocking here by saying not that what I've seen from Golden State and even Boston the second half of the season suggests to me that those teams are better than Miami.
I think most people would side with you. I don't feel like there's a ton of people out there who feel like the Heat are for realsies, Bill.
But I can be logical about it without being that kind of emotional about it. And won't it be a wonderful surprise when I reduce my expectations to a place that, goddamn, if they won the championship, it'd be one of the most impressive things I'd seen Pat Riley do because of what they have to go through to get there after 25 years of doing this.
But what are we celebrating? More than half the teams make the playoffs every year, and they win one round. What does this prove?
When you say respect and why do you need validation? Because, and this is the place where this conversation happens as we do it real lazily, who's a top 10 player now? is Miami one of the teams that can? And Miami fans want the nation to say yes to that. And the nation's like, nah, you just did it to Trae Young.
Mm-hmm.
You got 4 guys, but you got no great ones.
Well,
you
it's
got
a 1 versus an 8 seed.
But I know, but I'm saying that the way that the team is perceived is that's not sexy, Stugotz. Defense and
they're not a sexy team.
No,
Dan.
but defense, and we can't do it at the end of games with a star. Even as Jimmy Butler goes 45 and 35, he does not climb into the conversation where you're expecting him to do what John Morant did last night, or even what Anthony Edwards did last night. You're just not expecting Jimmy Butler to hit a game winner in the last 5 seconds because they're great at offense and he can always get his offense.
But this is a team like we hold them in high regard because of their on-court results. But I am still kind of surprised when they beat the hell out of teams. When you look at their lineup,
but that's
and it
on
has,
you.
No, but but a lineup that has Gabe Vincent, Victor Oladipo off an injury, Max Strus, Caleb Martin, and Dwayne Dedmon playing. Like this is it. It's a surprise that they are this dominant.
I don't disagree, but those guys have been playing major minutes all year and winning games for the Heat against teams like the Atlanta Hawks, the 8 seed, the entire season.
It's a different level in the playoffs, though. It's a different level. Yes, it is.
No,
how many of those kinds of guys have been chewed up and spit up by the playoffs?
Yeah, but look at look at the team they were playing last night. It's Trae Young and a bunch of guys. Like that team's beatable, especially at home. And they've been doing it all year. Now, if they did it next round or the Eastern Conference Finals without Jimmy and Kyle, that would be a bigger deal.
All right, but Stugotz, the question I asked you again, Trae Young broke New York. You saw what one playoff victory, one game did to New York last year. You saw it in the streets.
Yes.
And you saw Trae Young become lovable villain because he wasn't scared to go in New York, the Mecca, and end their season and fight with New York. Lean into it a little bit like Kyrie Irving did.
Mm-hmm.
You saw that guy do that. It wasn't that long ago. It was a year ago.
I saw him do it a year ago against an average team, I guess.
Okay, but they took Milwaukee to 6 with essentially the same team. And the only thing that's missing is Lou Williams.
I don't understand what you guys want. Like you're saying yourselves you're surprised this team is good, and then getting upset when the national people are saying like, "Oh, this team's a surprise." Like, no, they're the 1 seed. They should be expected to win.
I would say to you, Billy, that my chief complaint is not actually. These are all just symbols and pieces to me. I'm more interested in the Stugotz vantage point of I can just criticize everything. And I never have to give credit for extinguishing Trae Young. I could just move to Trae Young now stinks. I forgot everything from a year ago. He is no good anymore. And so you never have to give the credit. And Whittingham's out. I'm actually advocating for something that has very little to do with sports. It would make the internet less cruel and sports less cruel.
Reddit?
Just like, hey, you could give credit instead of just dispensing a fire hose of blame everywhere.
What fun is giving credits? I mean,
when my team does something good or bad and I tell you everything's fine, everyone shits on me and they're like, oh, Jess doesn't want you to see her pain. And now you're advocating for that. Yeah. Well, which one is it, Le Batard?
I want all of this out there. I want the roller coaster of a series that you don't care about, that has high stakes, that you're fighting all of America, that Boston's being racist.
Not the first round. You can't get
this is why you wanted the Nets, right? Because then they'd be getting some validation.
Starts right away. No, it's not just. No, it's just, and it's scary, and it's unreasonable, and it makes Mike. Like, did you see how Mike got beating Atlanta? Did you in one game? What do you think that would have been if it had been against the Nets?
Yeah, but that's the cocaine.
Here's the take, Dan. I don't give a shit about the Miami Heat. Whoa. You guys are happy when they win, but you're still mad when they win. And if anyone says anything bad, you freak out and get so upset. No one can say anything about the Heat except you, but then you say something about them, and it's like, well, why are you so negative? They're the #1 team in the East, blah, blah, blah. They won the first round. There's no winning with the Miami Heat, even when they win. It is nauseating, Dan. Wow. I don't care about them. I'm done with the Heat.
Wow.
Even though they gave you a free shirt?
Well, I did like the free shirt, so I do want them to win, the championship. There also were too many kids there. That's right, Billy. You know what? I don't care about the shirt. Fuck the shirt.
Whoa.
Too many kids.
Hey,
I don't care about the Heat.
Jess, just slow down for a
second.
second.
They can send me another shirt, though.
The last time the Heat won the championship, we were in the parade.
Yes.
On one of the
Now,
floats.
Dan can't go because he's already announced that the Heat aren't going to win the title, but we could still go.
Because I said they're for realsies, so I think,
What?
I'm good.
Like, what kind of goodie bag do you get if you go on the parade?
quality.
There was
stuff.
no goodie bag.
You're in the parade is
Just
pretty
the parade.
incredible.
It was just
on
the
a bus
parade.
with
Why
Bosch.
is the parade not enough?
La Vos was on there.
I was on a bus with Bosch and Poppy. I mean,
man.
Why are we whispering?
I don't know.
Well,
Because
I'm trying to negotiate here. Decide what my
I mean,
take is
goodie
gonna be.
bag. Like, just enjoy the parade.
Champagne. What is it? Good champagne, Tony? Champagne showers.
Jessica, the reason that you can't get caught up in heat talk is because when Billy accuses Whittingham of having peaked as a sports fan, were you yet a sports fan when they were dancing on stage,
The Heat?
2010?
Dan, I wanted LeBron James to come to the Bulls, and then he went to the Heat, and I said, I hate the Heat. I have hated the Heat since that moment. Yes, there was Wilbon.
There was
or
a second
Stephen A.
meeting.
or some-
There was a
someone
second
said
meeting.
that.
There
I
was.
know.
There was a second meeting.
I
Yeah.
wasn't like a discerning journalist who could like credibly vet a source and be like, well, why are they saying this? Is he throwing the smoke
Dumb.
screen? I was like a dumb little kid sports fan. I was probably in like
Stupid kid.
5th grade or something.
Broken.
And so
Idiot.
my heart was broken by LeBron. I loved LeBron. I loved LeBron James. This is my LeBron James moment a few days. When he played in Cleveland, my dad got me tickets to go to the United Center and watch a Bulls Cavs game when LeBron, I think it was like his 2nd year in the league or 3rd year in the league, when he was still with Cleveland. He was really good, and he was like the next coming of Michael Jordan, because everyone in Chicago obviously loves Michael Jordan, and it was like, this is the next Michael Jordan. He wears 23, and my dad's like, I'll get you tickets. We'll go see. So my dad took me to the United Center, not to see the Bulls, to see LeBron James. And then I thought, you know, LeBron's a free agent now. Maybe he's going to go to Chicago. There's rumors that he might come to Chicago. Everyone in my whatever middle school was like, oh my God, he's coming to Chicago. He's coming. This is amazing. We're going to have another Bulls dynasty. And then he goes to the freaking Heat, creates a super team. I was like, well, the super team, that's not fair. You can't do that. And now they're going to win everything. And they didn't win that many titles. I mean, they won some, but I mean, doing the playoffs, right?
Do super teams work?
Sometimes.
That one did.
That one did. The next
Twice.
one didn't.
They should have won more. You're right. I understand where you're
They
going.
almost won
Yeah.
less. I do find interesting, though, that I don't feel like you have very much awareness about the fact that that's the reason you're done with the Heat, and the reason Whittingham is as defensive as he is, and the reason and Mike is as defensive is because they had the experience of actually getting that player when they wanted him and having the relevant
Oh,
team.
I'm aware, Dan. I'm aware. I'm aware of all this. I'm aware of coming down here and being a Marlins fan now, even though they're part of one of my worst sports memories of my life. I'm aware that I live in a city now where the U is the college football team that my co-host partner here, Mike Ryan, who's not here at the moment, but he is here. He talks about nonstop. I hate Miami. I hate the Heat. I hate the Marlins. You guys they give me all this shit. They try to bring me over to the good side of Miami sports.
And you take it.
The Panthers, I mean, I don't care about the Panthers. Panthers are
damn
fine.
it.
They can win. Oh, no
You
one
take
gives a
all
shit.
the gifts.
They can win.
I'll go to that parade.
The best team in the league.
Unless it's on Chrome Avenue.
No.
You take
It's
all
going to
the
be worse. Sunrise.
I'll take the goodies, but guess what? I hate all of you, and I do not give a shit about these teams. I don't think the audience cares either outside of Miami.
It's called the local hour.
I mean, but you guys want them to cover a team with Markieff Morris and Duncan Robinson the same way they were covering the big three. Like, it's kind of ridiculous.
Well, is it the fame or the excellence?
The fame.
I mean, Markieff Morris.
I think they go hand in hand, right?
I'm just talking about they were not a one seed every year when they had the three guys.
Yeah, but they were not trying to be the one seed half
Jess's
the time.
Bulls were the 1 seed.
But it's the fame, right? It's why we're saying that Philadelphia
Oh,
will
for
feel
yes.
will feel like a much greater accomplishment
It
than beating
is.
Toronto, right?
As insane as it is to say about a team that had the big three 8 years ago, this is kind of an anonymous team relative to the national conversation. The national conversation is about the Brooklyn Nets. But that's annoying, right? It's annoying as a fan to be like, oh, I guess we kind of don't matter to you.
Well, wait a minute,
All you
though.
want to do is spend all day talking about Ben Simmons.
If you were programming these shows, would you talk about Kevin Durant's team or would you talk about the Heat?
Bingo.
I would talk about the winning team.
No, you wouldn't.
I would
You
probably
wouldn't spend time
no,
talking about the
and
Lakers with LeBron and that mess.
You'd be
But it's like-
fired.
Yeah, but
The
like,
ratings would
but
not
they
be
won-
very good.
They won 36 games. Why would I give a shit
Because
about the
they're
Lakers?
messy. Well, not the Lakers. Well, the Lakers are messy also. The
Yeah.
Nets are messy.
The
That's
Nets
why
are
we're
messy,
talking
but they didn't
about
win
them.
a playoff game. Like, when did we focus our time on teams that don't win?
I know, but last night you had a legendary game and a star who was trying to announce himself in John Morant. And the conversation this morning on my way in was about Jay Wright going to the Lakers. I mean,
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, if I were a Grizzlies fans, I'd be pissed.
But if you step back from it, right? Because I know Heat fans are upset last night that as they enter, everybody's waiting. What's Barkley going to say about Durant? And they didn't even. The Heat game had already started, I think, before they were talking about it on TNT. A Heat playoff game was being played, and they had gone 25 minutes into the broadcast talking about the things of the day. Whittingham, when you step back from everything that's happening there with social media, with what we've talked about here, where it's much easier to traffic in the cruelty and the blame and not good enough and storylines and everything else, yeah, the Heat aren't interesting enough that way. They're Pete Sampras. The excellence is boring. It's just boring excellence. What do you got for me? Jimmy Butler and a beer commercial. That's it?
No, I got Jimmy Butler forcing his coach to throw a clipboard at him.
But I would also
that's been, you know.
I'll add to that. I'll add to that. Now make it a bunch of old people running these productions who don't understand how much they might get from doing some stuff with Tyler Hero, given how he has a different audience than all of the people running these shows. A totally different audience, but that's not, and Tyler Hero hasn't been great in this series. Perhaps you'd hear something different if his kind of fame was rising up and he was having the Jimmy Butler games.
But we're still in the first round. Like right now, I don't expect many people to talk about the Heat, but as they get closer to the NBA Finals, you have to talk about them. So they haven't accomplished anything yet. They just beat the Atlanta Hawks.
I know, but the Lakers and Nets haven't accomplished anything. Stugotz is
but LeBron has.
I know,
but Durant has. But Kyrie has.
But this season, the Heat have.
This season they were bad teams.
The Heat have. Stugotz, you
but
will find the ways. You will find all the ways to be okay with your paycheck being, I can criticize everybody. Like you will,
of course,
you will support that viewpoint of please keep giving me the space to it's just the first round. And when the standard is there can only be one winner and I get to delight in the 10 losers, you will always win.
Yeah.
Because you never have to celebrate the winner.
No.
You could just move on to the losers, and it's what we're all doing. I'm not even blaming this on you. It's what we're all doing.
Oh, but Dan, I expected this to happen. I expected the Heat to win this series and win it fairly easily. Now, when they beat the Sixers, yes, I will rip Harden and I will rip Embiid. And when they beat the Celtics or the Bucks, I'll rip those two teams. And when they beat the Golden State Warriors, and they will, I'll break up the Warriors. I mean, that's what I'll do.
I do understand,
I can't wait to do it.
That Heat fans would say, don't even make it Memphis, Whittingham. Make it the Raptors, okay? The Raptors aren't being talked about by anybody, and no one's even going to care enough to rip Siakam if he doesn't win a series. Like, they won't care enough about that team. But Heat fans are like, hey, I know the Raptors won with Kawhi Leonard and the fame and everything, and they got to the top of that excellence mountain. But the Heat are very much like, we ain't Toronto. Like, we're not Toronto. This has been 20 years of raising a generation of, hey, we're not Toronto. You won your championship, and Heat fans will hit you with a lot of bluster of, we're not Toronto. Like they want to be in that conversation. But I can hear the audience listening right now already that hasn't skipped past this the way Jessica has, revealing something much more damning than I revealed when she just says she hates all of the local teams. Hates talking about them and checks out of all of the conversations.
Thanks, I guess.
I love that Whittingham had to explain because so much of the audience is tired of this Heat homerism. It's called the fucking local hour.